What's good, everybody? RJ Shelton here, back with another episode of Off the Top Show. As you see on the screen here, got my good brother James Muenchow, aka Jimmer. How we doing?
Well, the NFL season has come and gone. We laughed, we cried, we yelled, we screamed. We made jokes, we had great internet content, and now we enter into the calming of before purgatory, as I call it. Because it's just going to be NBA, hockey if you watch it, baseball's going to start up, and then we're going to get into a really lull period, but it's all right because we have when the lull period begins outside, which is not happening right now as we speak, or it won't be happening anytime soon. It's going to be nice and warm out. We can do things out there. We don't have to be cooped up inside. But
Right.
but either way, we have come to the end of the NFL season. It goes by so quick, and then the off season goes by so slow. But we're going to be back, and it was a great season, I guess, if you really want to call it that, from perspective-wise, if you're a fan. Football's football. So, but yeah, it's going to be a long, what do we got? I don't even know how long we got. Until August.
Man, we
Long
got
August. We got to
like 5-6 months or something like that.
But we get the free agency in a month. We
Yep.
get the draft, which I'll be there. I don't. I will be there. In April, and then once after the draft, then it's purgatory. But hopefully by then again we're out there golfing or
Right.
grilling or let's just call space bait, and not in here. So, but let's hope that happens quick. Other than that, because the groundhog here said look like that anytime soon.
Not looking like that, but hopefully we can. But let's get into obviously the Super Bowl 59. Eagles went in and took care of business, winning 40-22. The game was over at halftime, in my opinion. I mean, you want to talk about a game where you didn't see any of this coming. I mean, if you would have told me that the Eagles are going to be up, 40-6 in the end of the third quarter,
Yeah,
and
I
then
would have been like, did Mahomes get hurt?
that's what I'm saying. But Jalen Hurts, MVP, 17 of 22 from the field, 220 yards throwing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Was also very efficient on the ground, 11 carries for 72 yards, 1 touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, 21 of 32, 257 yards throwing, 3 TDs and 2 interceptions. He also led his team as well as rushing with 4 carries and 25 yards. Like I said, dominant performance on all phases for the Eagles. To me, this was great. And I think for you that this is the same thing. So go ahead and tell the people what they need to hear when, you don't got the Swifties, you don't got that. It is it was
we
a
only
humble
saw,
it was a humble experience for Kansas City Chiefs fans, I'll tell you that. But talk to me a little about this game.
It was a team that was like, oh, we don't like that team, but also, we don't like that team either type deal. But, the Eagles, you got to give them their flowers. They were the best team, period. I mean, I don't know. Let's just say this. Let's put the Buffalo Bills in there.
Yeah.
It's going to be it might all be the same.
Yeah.
Go put the Baltimore Ravens. It might be a little different. Might be because Lamar Jackson's legs, but I don't know if it really would be. Like that front four put on a clinic. Like
Yeah.
I can't even say front seven because literally the ball, they couldn't throw the ball. And they were just running basic ass coverages behind the four. Forget the front seven. They were just playing four underneath and 3 over the top. And then they just said, hey, you guys, just go. It was essential. I had to think, I kind of thought about it. I'm like, as a defensive coordinator, it's kind of the equivalent to having a guy in baseball who can steal on command. You don't even give him the signs. Just whenever you want, green light, fella. That's what I had to imagine what the D line was thinking. It was just like, you know what, you guys play your games up front, do whatever you guys seem necessary. Just remember this. Have fun. Y'all go have fun. We'll worry about it up back here. We'll play coverage. It was insane. That's what happens, and this is what we talk about. We're going to get into it here. That's what I've been saying that the Green Bay Packers need is a little luck. Because what did the Eagles have? They had a little luck, not in the game, but in the sense of finding those front four players. Two of them, especially in one draft, where Jalen Carter, who should have been 1-1, he was a projected 1-1. Everyone was picking him 1-1. But then his his drag racing incident or whatever, what have you, dropped him down to 9 where the Eagles were sitting. And then you had Nolan Smith there. I mean, he was projected to go where the Eagles took him, but they traded up to get him. Like, they saw him, they traded up and got aggressive and went after him. I'm pretty sure. They may have had 2 picks from trading out, but either way, they're sitting at 9, thinking about getting Jalen Carter, and then you just fell to your lap. Now you have probably one of the, besides Chandler Jones, probably one of the most disruptive inside got defensive tackles in the game of football, and the kid's probably only 25 years old. I mean, he may even be younger than that. Maybe 24, 25. This is his second year in the league. Yeah, he was drafted last year. So he might only be 24, and he's already just creating so many problems. Kind of reminds you of Aaron Donald. I'm not saying he is Aaron Donald, but it kind of reminds you of him. So that's what I'm saying when Green Bay, you need a little luck on your side. And, Nolan Smith, even though is he a huge impact type dude? Has he had a big season like that? No. But Jalen Carter helps that. And then Cooper DeJean hadn't had a pick all season. Now he gets a pick. Zach Bond, he was an outside backer. You moved him to inside backer, and he was all pro. Things just went their way. They had the other Mitchell, the other rookie corner on opposite of Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean didn't really play beginning of the season. He played more towards the end. Mitchell played right away, and he was a stud right away. Like, it's just luck. Things fall into place. Things go your way, and that's what happens, and then you win championships. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Green Bay is close. They need some pieces, but you also need a little luck on your side. People to fall to you. Just moving. If you move some guys, it just works out. So Eagles found out, and they'll lose a couple guys, but Zach Bond's going to get bagged somewhere. They have Jalen Carter under a rookie contract. They have Nolan Smith under a rookie contract. They have Mitchell under a rookie contract. They have Cooper DeJean under a rookie contract. Brandon Graham is 38 years old. You probably assume he's probably going to retire. I mean, he just came off a tricep injury, literally for the Super Bowl. But they have their core, their young core of guys. So the Eagles might be around to stay. And then, by the way, you got Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Hurts on the other side with a really, really good offensive line. So you're talking about the Chiefs and what they did. The Eagles realistically could flip that around and do the same thing. And it didn't even look like hard for them in the Super Bowl. Like, they got bigger fits from the LA Rams than they did from the Kansas City Chiefs. So, again, they were the best team. They looked shaky, but that was Jalen Hurts' first game back in like a month. So, run some rust off. They were trying to stop Saquon Barkley that game. So was everybody. I mean, Saquon Barkley didn't have a fantastic game by any stretch in the Super Bowl, but it wasn't Jalen. I thought everyone, including me, unless you thought differently, then good for you, thought it was going to be a Saquon Barkley game. They're going to want to get him going, and it was Jalen Smith's leg, or Jalen Hurts' legs that broke that. So in his arm, he was deadly. Like, oh my God. So
it was locked in.
Yep. So again, hats off to the Eagles. Belts to ass from start to finish. The Chiefs didn't even really look like I don't even think they really even got in the game, and then they just had some garbage time. So good for them. But then that wasn't the only story. Or first, the week prior, let's rewind a week. James and RJ get off the pod for the week. Radio Row, really big the Packers sent our home flagship radio station down there because we are hosting the draft. So they got some big names to come on. It was great. You got to hear from legends to current players to just friends of radio hosts, what have you. We had Josh Jacobs on. Josh Jacobs had some choice words. And it wasn't even anything that was really mean or so outlandish. Josh Jacobs was asked, how many pieces do you think you guys need? And he kind of thought about it for like a half second to a full 2 seconds and said, I think we need 3. Don't disagree. And they're like, what do you think is your most important piece? Right away, like without hesitation, he goes, I just think your offense could become so good if you have that verified number 1 receiver. Okay, yeah, I agree. Perfect. Yeah, Josh Jacobs. I agree fully. We've been saying it. Fans have been saying it. Outlets have been, like, radio networks have been saying it. But then we get the storm. 2 guys took exception to that on the Green Bay Packers. Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks. To which I say, why are you mad? What did he say? If you think, I just don't understand why they got so mad about it. Like, first, those are the 2 guys that led the team and in the top 5 of the NFL in drops. Bonafide number 1s don't drop footballs. Devontae Adams did when he wasn't a number 1, but then he developed into that number 1. He didn't drop a lot of balls when he was with Green Bay number 1. Justin Jefferson doesn't drop a lot of balls. T. Higgins, Puka Nacua, you name it. A number 1, A.J. Brown. Did you see him drop a ball in the Super Bowl? No. So when they took exception to that, I was really baffled. And I don't understand why. And he even said, I love the guys we have in there now. I think we have a great, solid group of guys. But we need a number 1. Yeah, no objection here. Next question. But yet people took it, or couple people, on Twitter, I could give a shit less. But when Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed took exception to that, I was like, why? Why are you getting all mad about that? If you think it's wrong, go and do something about it then. Don't drop 8 passes apiece. So
It's true.
I just didn't understand it.
I want to kind of chime into that too, just to like when you first see something like that, and I think, again, it's all how you go ahead and take it as a player, like how you look at it and see like, all right, I went to war with this guy. He knows that I can make plays, this, that, and the third. So I think that they should have just took that with a grain of salt and just go ahead and just move on with it. I don't think that, Wicks going ahead and crying emojis with a thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
I don't know if Reed said anything, nor does that not even the point. Point is
I think Reed didn't say something about the quote. I think did it with his quote or with his crying faces and thumbs down. And then I think people got on Wicks about it. And then Reed came to Wicks' defense, which, hey, but it's like he said something along the lines of people turn on your own fans turn on players so much, it's crazy. It's like, well, when you say outlandish shit, stupid ass shit like that, like do you think you were the number 1 Dontavian Wicks? Did you I don't understand it. And now especially you need a number 1. Like your number 1, which probably was Christian Watson, he gone for at least week 12 or 15. And even after that, he still may not be 100% until if you make the playoffs. So
yeah, I hear where you're coming from, but again, like the proof's already in the pudding of what you did, so that was kind of just outlandish. I'll give you that, but I mean, in what Josh Jacobs is saying, is he wrong? No, he's not.
No.
Because you got to see what he's personally did in regards to what he did, produced. Yeah, I mean, granted, this was said, they're growing, they're still young in this league, but now this is a year where you like, this is all noted. This is all noted of what you guys have done in the offseason, what you're saying now, because when you go ahead, going into the next year, regardless if we do bring in a wide receiver, which I think we definitely are, the simple fact is that what are you guys going to do now to go ahead and get into Super Bowl 60? What are you going to do to get into the NFC Championship game? Excuse me. What are you going to do to win the NFC North? You need to go ahead, and now there's even more eyes on you, not just whoever's going to be brought in, because whoever we're going to bring in is going to go ahead and do what they need to do. Yeah. You've already been here. You've been on this offense. And those two guys, we need them dearly. I don't care who we bring in. Like, those guys have to have unreal years this coming year. And that is obviously Devontae Wicks and Jalen Reed. And if they both are playing at a very high level, boy, we are going to be serious.
Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want that, though. Like, if you bring in a number one, guess what? For Wicks and Reed, it's 80% of the time. Like, they're going to bring more attention. I'd be like, get him or get whoever in here that will take the attention off of me. Because Jaden Reed, I think, had such a good first year that he got more attention. And people said, well, where was he? Potentially, maybe he was a little bit more, or you. But, like, Dontavian Wicks.
Teams are probably doubling him because they were like, this is their best guy, so we're going to take him out.
I mean, he had a really good year. Don't let him get going. We see what happens if Jaden Reed gets going. Dontavian Wicks, he had the most number one-on-ones in this year, and he had 8 drops. Imagine if he caught 7 or 6 of those drops. I think that would have been huge. So I think then people were like, well, they got the case of the drops, and then Jaden Reed's disappearing act happened. It just like, and those two do it right. Like, I'm not saying they don't put in the work or anything. We've seen videos of them in the offseason. Those two are dogs. Like, they work their tail off. They strive to be better. And you know what? You had a down season. Now, was that the reason why Jacob said what he said? No, I don't think that. The Christian Watson thing probably had a little bit to do with it, but also, like, as you said, the proof is in the pudding. Like, there's nothing they could do. Like, they could run simple coverages. They didn't have a gravitational pull to one guy, maybe Christian Watson. But then when Christian Watson was gone, there really wasn't a gravitational pull anywhere, and teams played solid coverage. So I don't know who's that going to be, but after watching the Super Bowl, when he said 3 pieces, after watching the Super Bowl, it immediately went, get a pass rusher over everything else.
Yep.
Like, you saw, and I'm not just saying an edge. I'm saying interior pass rusher, not before edge. Just get one of them. But if you just saw what Jalen Carter did from the inside, if he pushed that pocket out, and then that makes Mahomes get deeper in his drop, and then guess what? The edges are going to crash. It starts with the interior, and I don't think Green Bay has any of those. But those are a dime a dozen players. Like, that is a really, really dime a dozen player of Jalen Carter or Chandler Jones's capabilities. Kenny Clark used to do that. He's starting to get up there now. I still don't understand why they extended him. People say he gets a lot of double teams. Okay, we'll go get another guy. I think that's where Devontae Wyatt is huge, because he's more of a pass rusher in the inside than a run stopper. He's got a great first move, got a great get off on the ball. But again, do stuff that complicates. If you get an edge rusher that Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, what have you, or if Rashawn Gary starts to get going. Josh Sweat is a free agent. You just saw Josh Sweat have a really good game in the Super Bowl. Go get him. So he's going to probably cost a lot because he just won a Super Bowl. That's what happens with free agents who win the Super Bowl. They get money. So it's all in the pass rush. You could have taken Green Bay's corners. Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine. No Jair Alexander because he's hurt all the time. Put Javon Bullard in the slot, which actually isn't a bad idea for if you're talking about the Eagles, and leave their 2 at the top because I think Green Bay has better safeties than Philadelphia, but they have better outside corners. Put those 3 in. That pass rush, it's going to be the same result. They don't have. It's not hard when guys get to the quarterback in 2 seconds. So that's where I'm like, pass rusher over the wide receiver one. I understand you got to score points to win this league, but that takes so much off your offense. All right, our defense is dominating. Like, we don't have to score 40 points, but we may if they keep giving us the ball back every single time. So that game, to me, the Super Bowl just heightened my senses to, you need a pass rusher. You need a number one pass rusher. If you get that number one pass rusher, maybe Rashawn Gary comes alive, then you have 2 really good pass rushers from the outside. And then on the inside, if Devontae Wyatt and Kenny Clark can turn back time a little bit, and if Devontae Wyatt can just stay consistent, it's going to be like, you're going to be in a really good spot, because I think up the middle is good, and then that just helps your corners if they're subpar. Let's say, maybe Jair Alexander has a coming to somebody, like, oh my God, what an idiot I was, and comes back. Well, that's even better. I don't see it happening, but we've seen crazier things happen. So that Super Bowl just taught me pass rush first, like solidified it. If they go get in a wide receiver number one, I ain't going to be mad. But I think that was, and LaFleur talked about it, I want to rush 4, I want to run 4 underneath and 3 over the top. That's what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl. And when they had those 4 and they were just getting after Patrick Mahomes, it was dominant and it wasn't even fair. So I think if Matt LaFleur is probably watching, he probably just went, this is what I want to do. We got to figure out how to do it. And we got to go get somebody to help us do it, because I don't think what they have is good enough. So whether it be in the draft or free agency.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. We shall only see, my good brother, but that was
got a long way.
Got a complete ass whooping by the Eagles there. But we shall see.
When we'll talk about the Super Bowl, the fun aspect, the national anthem. I was so pissed. I got jobbed.
Really?
It was rigged. It was right there. I thought it was 204 at the 120. It was 203.5. I thought it was at 204. They must have cut it. Really mad about it, but whatever. And then tails never fails, brother. As we said, tails never fails. And the Gatorade was lemon lime. So yellow was for the win, and then the overhit of the 49. So we had a good day. Other than that goddamn national anthem, which really makes me mad because I thought it was there.
I thought you were there, so I actually timed it, but I guess I was
wrong
too.
I was like,
I guess I was wrong
sitting
as
there,
well.
and I could hear the music keep going, and I'm like, I guarantee they were like so close. I feel like whoever house you had, house was like, who do we have more bets on? The over, under. Come with your disputes. Put them in that dispute bin right there. So that's a garbage can. Exactly. Put them in there. We'll get to it. Don't worry.
Man.
So, but other than that, I thought the commercials were a little subpar again. I mean, they just don't make commercials like they used to. There was a couple of them that were kind of humorous. Nothing really where I was like, geez, this is amazing. And then the halftime show, if that was your cup of tea, which to the people whose cup of tea it was, amazing. To the people who weren't cup of tea, they thought it was awful. Right. No one's ever going to be happy with the Super Bowl halftime show. I don't think my father has been happy with a halftime show in probably 17 years. And that 17 years ago was The Who. So there you go.
Yeah.
But I think this show, and we're not even going to get into like the whole thing because you've probably seen it online. I think this show that Kendrick put on was so simple. Like, he had his dancers.
Yeah.
But the setup was simple. The lights were simple. The dress was even simple. It was 3 colors. The choreography was really cool. I thought the camera work was really cool. I thought that opened up more doors to, the NFL wants to get performers and showmen to put on a show for, the cameras and the people at home and the people in the audience. I think Kendrick put on a show that was so simple because he's not a showman. He's a lyricist. And he's, that's what he stuck to. He didn't get all weird like The Weeknd did that one year, and he just did his show. He relied on his lyrics, and he did it well.
Right.
So I think that opens up more doors for the NFL to be like, okay, maybe we don't need pop stars that are artists or that are showmen. We can get people that are just there. The music sounds good. People are vibing to it. I think that hopefully that opened up more doors, because not every show is going to be a show. So
Right.
sometimes it could be just, let's play the hits. People
Right.
are going to love the hits. That's what Rihanna did. She was 7 months pregnant. She didn't really put on a show like she usually does. She just played hits, and I was sitting there, I'm like, these are hits. I love these hits.
Right.
So hopefully that opened more doors to that, of maybe just getting more simplified acts on the Super Bowl. But other than that, I thought the halftime show was pretty good from that lens of it. If you have it, you probably have other things that people have seen online. We're not going to get into that. We're a sports talk show. We're not a music talk show. So
you go ahead and look at that on your own time. But the season, great season. Even though obviously our Packers didn't go ahead and get it, but we're going to get it next year and the year after that, because that's just what it is when you're a diehard Wisconsin fan.
yes, sir.
Great season. Great season. Shout out to the Eagles. Much respect. Great team. Top, bottom, head coach, special teams,
Except for their
everybody.
fans, they
front
suck.
office. Yeah, your fans.
They
I
suck.
already know how they feel about them. But
yes.
Let's move on over to the Bucks. Obviously, we have some acquisitions that have went ahead and joined the team. We have Kyle Kuzma. We have now Kevin Porter Jr. I actually went to the game against the 76ers. I mean, we looked good even though we lost against the Golden State Warriors last night. Looked good, fluid, all that, but kind of talk to me what you think. I'm a little bit scared about Giannis, man. I'm not going to lie. I don't like that. I know that we're getting healthy, but that right there is not looking good. I mean, he went ahead, and I think it was the 76ers game that he's not going to play in the All-Star game because of his calf. And it's like, holy shit, man. Like, this ain't right.
No, it's the third year in a row, I believe, that he's had a lower calf strain. And I know this may be a strictly precautionary thing. Like, maybe he's just like, it just doesn't feel right. I could play. Like, he's like, I could easily play on this. And they're just like, it's just turned February. We got a long season to go. We don't want you to push you, make this worse. I'm okay with it. Again, their goal for the end of the season was make sure your superstars are healthy. And this is another precautionary measure to make sure Giannis is healthy. It is worrisome. You're not wrong. I'm not dismissing that. Because, again, that's what kept him out of the entire Indiana series last year, was a lower calf strain. It is also the same injury Kevin Durant had when he was with the Golden State Warriors that he pushed through and ended up tearing his Achilles. Right. So you can tell why Milwaukee is very, very cautionary to this. So let's hope after the All-Star break he comes back, because we haven't seen how this team will look. And how will that team look? Well, I think trading of Chris Middleton, let's just go get that out of the way. People had a shitstorm about it. And I understand. It is a club legend, or a team legend, had a really good finals. He was one of probably the main reason besides Giannis that helped us win that 2020 final. I understand. But the guy is 33 years old. He's had surgery on both ankles. He's played less than 40 games. And it doesn't look like he is improving his mobility or anything like that. And also, by the way, he costs $31 million. And next year he'll cost $33 million. So what did you get out of him? You traded him to the worst team in the league. You got Kyle Kuzma, a guy who, let's just say, got picked on, let's just say, I guess highlighted while he was in LA when he won the bubble with LeBron. Everything was always highlighted in LA. And because he was in LA, then he went to the Wizards. And the Wizards are a shit show. Absolute shit show. He had some moments where people were like, what are you doing? Well, we've seen this with players before. when you're on a really bad team, you just don't care. Like, you're not locked in. You're like, okay, here comes another night where we're probably going to get the shit kicked out of us. And then his first game with the Bucks, what do you have, 15 points?
Yeah, he
Okay,
had a solid 15 and some handful
okay,
of rebounds, handful of
yeah.
assists.
And then the next game against the 76ers had another like 14, 15, 16 points. And then against the Golden State Warriors, not so great.
He had
But
21.
he had 21? Oh, fantastic. I guess it was just everybody else that was dog shit. Um, it looks all right. He looks locked in. He looks energized. He's probably, going to a better situation always just, okay, now I'm going to be playing in the playoffs for sure. Like, Milwaukee's definitely going to be playing in the playoffs. He gets to play with Giannis and Damian Lillard. That gets anybody's juices flowing. So then you got rid of Chris Middleton and your first round pick this year, AJ Johnson, who in the G League looked pretty lively, let's say. He's what, 6'8", 6'7", 160 pounds only, so that's going to be where he needs to grow. He looked exciting in the G League. He looked like he could jump. He looked like he could shoot. He looked kind of like an all-around good D&3 guy, outside shot maker. But then you gave him up and some change. And then you said, okay, after that trade happened, after the Chris Middleton trade happened, I've been a Bobby Portis hater this whole year. You've heard it. The guys have heard it. The world has heard it. That Bobby Portis is just not for me. After the Chris Middleton trade, I was like, please do not trade Bobby Portis now. Because now after that trade happens, he becomes the 5. Like, Brook Lopez is going to play the 5 for the rest of the season, regular season, but I think they're going to start integrating Giannis playing at the 5. Because Brook can't move. He literally can't move. He's a Chris Middleton. Thank God this is the last year of his deal for the Bucks. Because he frankly just can't move. They made a trade to the Knicks to grab their backup center, who we have yet to see. It's just a center that's probably younger and just can be move a little bit better. Whatever. That was a sign that said, okay, Brook is really struggling. And then you made a trade with the Clippers to bring Kevin Portis Jr. over to Milwaukee, which people weren't very happy about again, because he's a defensive guy, and his background history with him getting arrested and the domestic violence, I understand. So the question was, did the Bucks improve after these trades? If you look at the makeup of the team, naturally people were like, oh God, no, we got rid of Middleton for Kuzma. And I'm sitting there going, y'all are grading these trades before we've seen it. And we can't even it looks better now. Like, again, as you said, ball is moving. They look younger. They look like they're moving around better. It's less iso ball. But we still haven't seen what this trade will look like because Giannis isn't playing. Like last night against Golden State, Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry went off. Damian Lillard went off. Kyle Kuzma had 21. But then who are your other scorers? Really, realistically, nobody. Bobby Portis had a bad game. Brook Lopez was nobody. Andrew Jackson Jr. is actually looking like he's worthless. All he can do is play defense. He has no value on the offensive end. So I think once Giannis comes back, that's where you'll see Giannis inserted as Andrew Jackson's spot. Thankfully, because he just doesn't score. Bobby Portis will come off the bench as a 6-man. Giannis will probably play the 5 when Brook comes out. Maybe you put Bobby in at the 3 or the 4, or whatever you want to call it, Kuzma at the 3. Gary Trent Jr. played a really good game on Sunday. I think this has potential. And I think it has a good amount of potential. Now, can it go bad? Absolutely. We've seen the Bucks be bad with Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo when they won the championship. We've seen that. It happens to every team. I think, and you just put yourself in a better tier because there's an apron we're not going to get into it. I don't know it. I'm just going to say this. If you're in apron one, that's the rich teams. That it really hinders you from making moves, trades, buyout market, acquisitions, what have you. The Bucks trading Chris Middleton got them down to the second apron. That loosens them up to, yes, make more trades that they did and eventually make. Not blockbuster trades, but some moves to gain some bench players. They got to apron two, which lets you buy more from the buyout market. Maybe there is a person that gets bought out that could be a sixth man, seventh man for the Bucks in the playoffs. Like we've already seen Ben Simmons say he's going to go play for the Clippers. Not that I wanted Ben Simmons, but at the same time, Ben Simmons was a pretty good defender. Like he's 6'10", he can guard guards. He's a really good wing defender if he decides to play, which he hasn't decided to play for, let me check's watch, like 3 years. So not that I was saying Ben Simmons, but like you can get a player like that, like a really good defender. PJ Tucker's going back to Miami. Maybe Miami buys him out, comes back. He can play. You know, PJ Tucker's still got stuff left in the tank for defense if you really want to go defensive. I'm just saying, so they just got down to the level 2 or apron 2 so they can make more moves. And Kuzma, by the way, took a pay cut. He waived his, I think it was a roster bonus that he got from the Bucks. He said, waived it. Let's just go get a guy or something like that. But that report came out. That was really optimistic to me. I'm like, Kuzma wants to win. He doesn't even want the money. He just wants to win, which I like that mentality. But it also sets up for the future. So maybe the Bucks can go get guys to keep Giannis happy and keep him here. Everyone was saying, but Giannis is going to leave. You know, they got rid of his boy Middleton. I think Giannis right now is in the business mode. This is business now. Like, I had my friends back in 2020, my brothers. We won a championship. It was the greatest thing ever. But now I'm getting up there, and I still only have one. I want another one. And business is business. It's time for business. I mean, that's what he came out and said. How much truth to it? I don't know, because, by the way, your boy Brook is 35 years old, and he can't even move, and he's in his last year. You might as well start saying your goodbyes now because he ain't going to get re-signed. If they do re-sign him, it better be for like $2 million, and hopefully it's a tax write-off. I'm not sure. So I think this trade for the Bucks helps for them to make more moves to keep Giannis here and happy, whatever that move may be. So next year's the last year of him and Dame's contract. Maybe Dame re-signs with Milwaukee. Maybe they do a sign and trade with Dame. Maybe they rebuild through a Dame trade. Who knows? But I think this set up Milwaukee better for the future. It doesn't look good now because, again, we're emotional. We're fans. Trading Chris Middleton was like when Brett Favre got traded. Kind of. We were really emotional about Dad leaving. So I think this is better. We still have yet to see it. Give it time. We still have March and April to see if this gels when Giannis returns to the fray.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing right there. You hit it on the head in regards of what Giannis is actually going to go ahead and do with this ball club. I mean, the guys are in the NBA for a reason. I think this is just even more where now it's on Doc Rivers to get this shit together.
And look at it this way.
That's the biggest thing.
Middleton is gone. Who replaced Chris Middleton? It's not Kyle Kuzma, in my opinion. It's Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis, even though he's coming off the bench, he can replace Middleton's minutes. Is it the style of play? No. But he can still score. And Kyle Kuzma can replace Bobby Portis, essentially. You know, again, does it look like, is it going to do what Bobby Portis does? No. But he's going to bring those minutes and points in. Like Bobby Portis was only scoring like averaging 15, 16 a game. That could be Kyle Kuzma. Now we need Bobby Portis to do more. Step it up a little bit. Kuzma, you have dudes. You don't have to do it yourself. Don't take stupid shots. Let Dame take the stupid shots because sometimes they go in. You know, play your smart basketball, get better lock in on D. This is good. Like, this has potential. It really does. You got younger, you got more athletic, and you got a guy who can play more minutes. Now, yes, you have the Giannis issue, but you've seen what it looks like without that, and it still doesn't look that bad. So I think we need to be a little bit more optimistic. When the trade went through, I was like, okay, let's give it a couple games. I'm not going to freak out about it because I'm not as emotionally invested in the Bucks as some people obviously were. But let's give it a few games. And after a few games, it still isn't with Giannis. But I'm like, I see promise here. I really do. So you just need the bench players to chip in a little bit more. And I think that's where Milwaukee's downfall is their bench. Yes, you have Bobby Portis, but then you have AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr. If they don't get anybody in the buyout market, those two need to step up and step up big time. So, which when they don't, it reflects. The Golden State game, AJ Green, I think, had 2 or 6 points. Gary Trent Jr. on Sunday drained 7 threes, and he only scored 2 points. So their bench is what's going to help them if they want to make a run and a deep run into the playoffs when the time comes.
Well, then it goes back to what I was about to finish and say. It comes on coaching as well. You have the bench go ahead and do whatever needs to be done. But, I mean, okay, you go ahead. You're at home twice. You go ahead and beat a 76ers team that was fully loaded without even Giannis. But then you go ahead and lose the Warriors 125 to 111. And then Damian Lillard has 10 turnovers and shoots the ball how many times? And we still lose. So, like, these whole games that are going to be coming up, you got the Timberwolves, you got the Clippers, you got the Wizards, you got the Heat. You should at least go 2-2, if not go 3-1. Because when you go ahead and face the Timberwolves today, that's going to be tough. The Clippers are going to be tough. And the Wizards, I don't know. What if the old bag of bones comes out and drops 40 on the whole team? But I'm just saying, like, and then you got the Heat. The Heat are the Heat. But it's just like this whole Giannis situation is a very big factor because we don't know what it's like. Yeah, you can be optimistic and things like that, but I'm trying to be realistic with people that listen to this as possible because Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma, Prince, Porter Jr., Green, all those guys from here on out have to go ahead and at least have double digits in the score column for us to be even successful.
If Giannis is out,
I saw it when I went to the 76ers game. But, I mean, he has to do it when they're in there as well. It's not that it's just going to be a Giannis and Dame show because they can't go ahead and drop, 40 a night and then everyone else around them can't even average 5 points. So it's going to be interesting to see. I do see promise. I see it. But, I mean, I can't have the inconsistency now. We can't have inconsistency from now all the way to the playoffs.
You can't have Bobby Portis having 6 points. You can't have
Bobby. You can't have it ain't just Bobby. You can't have none of the guys from the bench have under 5 points.
But like with Bobby now is going to be playing a little bit bigger role. Yes, they're going to keep him on the bench for a 6-man because it's working. It's worked for a long time this season, so you don't mess with that juju. I mean, Brook Lopez that's a big problem. Like he had 6 points yesterday, and he played 28 minutes. I'm like, first of all, I'm surprised he can move for that long. Like, bro,
the guy's slow motion out there.
So that's where I think Doc is still gonna. That's where your coaching point comes in. I think he's still gonna tinker and plug and play with this because now he has. Okay, this is what the front office is giving me. Now we really need to start worrying about what our weaknesses are, and Brook Lopez is an absolute bona fide weakness because transition, anything, he's just trying to move that old ass up and down the court. So that's your thing. But again, Bobby Kuz, Torn Prince, Gary Trent Jr., AJ Green, like y'all need to step up. If you don't have 10 points, you better have 9. Or you better be locking down somebody defensively. You got to step up because we just traded away Chris Middleton, even though he was hurt and he was old and he couldn't really move. He was still bagging 15 to 16 points a game. So, but you just didn't know, was he going to go down? Is he going to play tonight? Is he not going to play tonight? How is he going to do when you play every other day in the playoffs? Like, is he going to be able to do that? Is his body going to hold up? But now we don't have to worry about that. Now you're younger and more athletic, and you have guys that can do that. So, again, This move, I think, was more for not a win. Unfortunately, it wasn't a win now trade. It wasn't a PJ Tucker trade where you were missing a piece like PJ Tucker was to lock down whoever their best scorer was. It was a let's loosen up some funds, some cash, so that if a buyout market trade or if a buyout person comes this season, we can get them. If not, you're still optimistic where if you catch fire, it can work. But then next season, you freed up some funds, and now we can go get a guy maybe to replace Middle that is auto 16 to 18 points a game. I don't know who it is, but maybe that is it. So unfortunately, that's why Bucks fans didn't like that, is because it wasn't a win now trade. It wasn't a trade that's gonna. It wasn't a Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors. It wasn't Doncic to the Lakers. It wasn't whatever was coming back from the Dallas trade. DeAndre Fox going to or Zach LaVine going to Sacramento and DeAndre Fox going to San Antonio. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't anything like that. It was a strategic business-like move, and people don't like that. People like the shiny things. So you got to give it time. And if it doesn't work out, again, you're set up for the future. I know it sucks and you want to win now because you have Giannis. You have the best player, one of the best players in the world, along with one of the best second best shot creator to play the game in today's game. But you freed some stuff up. Maybe it's if you don't win it this year, let's see what happens. You freed up some cash. We can maybe go get a piece for either one last run or a long-term thing where, hey, Giannis, we're making an effort. Stay here. We're going to continue to make efforts. So we'll see. Again, but that's why Bucks fans didn't like it. You traded a team legend for a business decision. But if you didn't make that decision, if you wanted to keep rolling back with these old motherfuckers, then Giannis was going to leave because then you weren't going to win any game. You got to do what's best interest for your team and to win basketball games. And if that means maybe doing a trade that isn't a win now, it keeps you in like maybe the same boat you're in, but gives you the opportunity to get into a bigger boat, I'm all for it. So it's just the Bucks weren't going to get Luka Doncic. They weren't going to get DeAndre Fox. They weren't going to get they didn't need Anthony Davis, but they weren't going to get Jimmy Butler. They almost got Zach LaVine. That would have been okay, here we go. They didn't get any of that. The trade deadline, like, they didn't have the money for that. So
and they weren't going to get any of those guys anyway.
No, exactly. So what can you do? You can improve the future of it so that maybe you can go get a guy next year to see what happens. Sign and trade. Free agent guy that's ring chasing. Who knows? So, but we got to do stuff now to keep Giannis happy. And Giannis's tune, again, as I said, has changed a little bit. It doesn't sound like, well, I want my buddy Brooke here. I want Chris here. He's my brother. He was a little upset about the Drew trade because they were close friends. But then I guess Damian Lillard is like, okay, that's not so bad. And yeah, it didn't work. But again, that's a different conversation. Now his tune sounds like he's changed. Like it's not so much, I want to do it with this group. He did it with that group. Now it's, I want to do it again. So we'll see. But I think this trade sets you up better in the future. And also, you didn't get worse, in my opinion. I don't think the Bucks got worse. Do you think the Bucks got worse?
I don't think they got worse. Doc doesn't play any. Like, literally, you got an old center, but you got the young 26-year-old in Sims that's sitting on the bench waiting to go ahead and play. That's where my biggest thing with all this. Like, we want to get young and do this, but our head coach doesn't put in the young guys. We still stick with having.
No, and that's Doc's MO, and that's something when we hired is like that's the problem. But maybe it eventually does, where he's just like, you know what, I just can't take it anymore. If Giannis isn't here, I thought I was astounded. I'm like, they lost by 20. Why didn't you get the big fella in there and maybe just see? You know what, Brooke, just come on out, bro. Like just put the heating pad on the back, put some ice on your knees. Go, take the walker. Yeah, go in the back. It's okay. Sims, yeah, just get in there. Go ahead. Let's just see what he's got. Like I was baffled by that. Maybe against the Wizards. Wizards come and it's like, okay, maybe you're up 20 points. Brooke, yep, bring the walker over here too. Yep, don't scratch the court. Put the tennis balls on the bottom. Come on now. Sims, get in there. Get out there and beat somebody. We need to see it because unless the plan is I'm going to put Giannis at the 5 so it doesn't even pay to get this guy. I mean, maybe that was a trade that Doc was just like, oh, I didn't want that. But all right, I mean, I'll figure it out. So we got to see it. We're 4 games in. Maybe how many more games do we got till the All-Star break? It's this weekend.
Yeah,
isn't it?
so, I mean, we got like a couple. It's
Two.
one of these months. Or, excuse me, one of these days in this month.
I think it's probably tonight and maybe one more on Friday, Thursday, and then you got the All-Star break this weekend. And then you got a couple more days off till maybe next Friday. So I don't know. But you got to put some pieces in. Maybe it'll happen this week. Maybe it'll happen tonight. Maybe you get your ass kicked by Minnesota. Minnesota's a really good team. Or maybe Rudy Gobert just beats the ever-loving piss out of Brook Lopez tonight. And you're like, we got to get somebody younger and bigger. Because I know Doc's thing is always, okay, the backup center is Bobby. That's not going to win you a lot of games. Like, to be totally, I know he's 6'10", but he's not a center. He's a forward. Put the Sims kid in there. He's athletic. He's big. I mean, he doesn't have the stats to prove it, but just let him go. Get in there. If you get 2 fouls, we'll just take you out. We'll figure it out. You get 6. So we'll see.
He came from the Knicks, so he knows about winning basketball games. It's just I can't stand Doc Rivers. That's just me. I can't stand.
I didn't like it. I didn't like the hire either, but that's what is the domino effect from firing Mike Budenholzer, which we don't have to talk about that. Maybe if they keep him, maybe they just don't re-sign him to begin with. Again, different then a huge miscalculation of hiring Adrian Griffin, and then you have a panic mode going, oh my God, I'm happy, let's just bring in Doc out of the booth. I was like, I think you could have maybe hired someone better, or, I thought there was better options out there, but I think they just wanted to try to right this ship with a veteran who can maybe the guys listen to and respond to instead of a new guy. I don't know, but I'm with you. I'm not a fan of Doc Rivers either. His one championship came from the first ever Big Three ever created and some of the most generational players to ever come through the game of basketball at the time. And then he couldn't win with some of the other really good players in the NBA of teams where you're like, oh my God, this team could run through it. And, second round exit. Never mind. So we'll see, but I'm with you. I'm with you on it.
Yeah, we'll just have to find out and pray to whoever above to get it squared away for our Bucks. But moving on over to Wisconsin Badger basketball, they went ahead this past week and beat Iowa 74-63. They got Purdue, big one. That one is huge. In Purdue Saturday. So we should definitely
never
be
easy going to Purdue.
Locked in on that one. They are right now, as of standings, they are 4th in the Big Ten. They're 9-4 in conference. They're on a 3-game win streak right now, and then
that's gotta continue as well. Like with the Big Ten as big as it is, I'm not sure if they expanded the two round bye, because I think if you place top 4, you don't get a first round bye. I think you get 2 rounds. I could be wrong, but at least you get a bye. Like you don't have to play right away. That's important to keep that 4 seed. Like maybe you don't win the Big Ten. I'm not even certain is Michigan State number 1 in the Big Ten?
No, they are. I think they're second because they had lost on their West Coast trip.
Who is number 1 in the Big Ten?
Let's see.
It's been so close with Big Ten that I actually don't even know.
Purdue. Purdue's number 1 right now.
And now you're going into Wisconsin's going to their barn. What a better way to maybe get it to spark a season, spark your next month or 2, and then go to the big dog's house and burn it down. So
right.
you got just stay in that number 4 spot. I think that's then you get the first round bye. You may even get a second round because now it's so big. Conference is so big. But being fourth in that conference is really good. Again, I think the Big Ten is the best overall basketball conference. I've said it before. I don't think the ACC can compete. The SEC is getting better, and like Alabama, who was not a basketball school 10 years ago, now is the number 3 team in the country, and which, by the way, their head coach is from Watertown, Wisconsin. Fun fact of the day.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to him, Nate Oates, big Watertown Gosling. We don't like Goslings around here, but you know what? We like Wisconsin guys on the big stage. So I still think Big Ten's the best basketball conference overall. So Wisconsin being 4 in there, they just do what they do so very well. Kind of like a Bo Ryan-led team is starting to look like that again, where they play their game and what they do is very well. So just got to keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling as it is. Then obviously our Brewers are starting that spring training camp February 22nd against the Reds, 2:00. Can't wait for them summer days that we're talking about.
I don't want to even get into it because it's going to be 15 more minutes about brats, people. Y'all don't know about brats.
We'll have to save it for that. We'll see it on the via Instagram story when it gets to that point.
Exactly.
Just to add on, obviously we got our PGA Tour going on. The Phoenix Open, the Waste Management was this previous weekend. Now we got the big one again coming up.
It's getting there. The Waste Management was a really good tournament. Y'all may be wondering, wow, these guys are talking about golf. Why? Well, people, first of all, we like golf. Second of all, it's a Ryder Cup year, and we have to start paying attention for the people who like golf, that and seeing how our American representatives or whoever will be representing will be doing this year. So, if we look at how everyone finished, the 2 big keys to me about this, and we're talking about golf because we're talking about the Ryder Cup. The Ryder Cup is my more favorite tournaments or sporting events even. I can't say ever, but it's up there. USA versus Europe, the energy is electric, the golf is electric. It's something you've never seen before. It's not like your typical event. So what are we watching? Like deeper instead of just the people who are playing really well. You're looking at American players. You're rooting for those household names to win tournaments. Yes, everyone likes their underdog stories. Yes, not so much me, because like last Ryder Cup, Brian Hardman won the U.S. Open. Now somebody, Tony, may come get me on this one, but Brian Hardman was a low spot in the Ryder Cup. He was a long shot to win the Open. So this is why we root for guys like Tony Finau or Brooks Koepka, who's a live guy, so he has to win a tournament to get in, or a captain's pick, or Bryson DeChambeau. You know, you have to root for guys like that. So what were we looking at? Jordan Spieth played really well. He's a very instrumental Ryder Cup piece every single time they come out. He didn't have the greatest Ryder Cup the last time around, so he's kind of looking to exercise those demons back in Rome and bring them to Bethpage Black, which is in New York. Justin Thomas, who a very big household name, had probably the record the Americans last time out. He was really struggling. Like you and I and Tony went to the 3M in Minneapolis. He missed the cut. That's not a tournament he usually should miss the cut on, but he did. He was really struggling, but then he had a really good Ryder Cup. And now he tied for 6th. That's really good to see. Cameron Young played really well. But then you kind of look at Wyndham Clark, kind of just played average. Or he played pretty well. I mean, he had a 11 under tournament. It's pretty good. You know, but it just doesn't help that other guys just blew him out of the water. I mean, if somebody does that, you just tip your hat. Scotty Scheffler, that's a nervous one. He posted a 9 under. And you may be thinking, wow, 9 under. That's really good. Not if you're the number one player in the world. Scotty Scheffler kind of struggled for his standards this weekend, so you hope that was just a one-off. You don't hope that continues. Wyndham Clark, as I said again, he had his. Brian Hardman and Scotty Scheffler played well. Tied, actually. So, and then you kind of look at the European side. A German won it. I don't know if he might not be the guy that picks. Robbie McIntyre won it. He was on the Ryder Cup last time. Him playing well, I mean, it is what it is. Straka played in the Ryder Cup last go around. That was, he played really well. So it's early. Yes, we're talking about boring golf. But this is what's leading up to in September, where we have to watch the Americans try to take back the Ryder Cup. So you need the Americans playing well, and you need the household Americans like Tony Finau playing well, or Scotty Scheffler, your number one gun, playing well. So it's still early. We're going to dabble into it. Unfortunate news in the golf world as well. Tiger Woods' mother passed away. She was always Tiger Woods' number one supporter, pushed him to be, along with his father, pushed him to be. Tiger was going to be playing in the Genesis Invitational this weekend. He is withdrawn, obviously, for obvious family reasons. So prayers to him and his family. His mother has always been around. We saw her numerous times when he won tournaments back when Tiger was Tiger. Other than that, we got the Masters coming in 2 months. Less than 2 months. We're going to be talking about that. That's why we're going to be talking about it. We have no more football, people. It's purgatory, as I say. So we got to find some stuff to fill. We'll try our best to find stuff to fill your time. We just took an hour of your time, but we have stuff to talk about. So, other than that, my man, I'm all sported out. we had a lot to talk about. We had a lot to talk about. And we tried to do this under an hour without me going off and babbling. We're not going to have Jim Bob Cooter's picks. I'm not going to have RJ blindly rank things this week because the Super Bowl just happened. We had the Chris Middleton trade. We took a bunch of your time up already. We'll get back to some of those things next week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before we go, Dustin Johnson and Taylor may call it quits after 18 years. This is via My Golf Spy.
Dustin Johnson and then TaylorMade
called it quits.
Wow, that's huge. He's basically been with TaylorMade ever since he came on tour.
They're basically saying, "Hey, brother, your time's up, dude. You suck."
I mean, I think he had a decent round in the Live. I don't follow Live because I don't follow Live.
18 years though, you call it like you part ways after that? Like after all he's done? That's nuts to me.
That is shocking because, again, like when Tiger announced that he was no longer going to be with Nike on the equipment side of it, it was a little bit more understandable because Nike just basically said, we're not making any more golf equipment. No more balls, no more clubs, what have you. They still made the apparel and Tiger was still with the apparel. Then when Tiger came out and said, I'm leaving Nike. I'm not gonna be wearing the Nike product anymore. We kind of are like, oh my God. The Nike swoosh, all the Nike commercials, the Nike red, what have you, the T-Dub, he had his own goddamn brand for God's sakes. And then he came out with his own brand of the Sunday Red. So yeah, that's a big one actually, because he does suck, by the way. He don't care about winning. He got his $150 million a year. All he's doing is sitting on private jets and private yachts. And yes, if you watch the Full Swing documentary on Netflix, I highly recommend it. It's really good. He'll be like, oh, I really care. No, you don't. Your girl Wayne Gretzky's daughter, whose name I should know, but I don't.
It's okay.
She just wants to party. Like, yeah, she gets all in the documentary. She's like, oh, I can't believe he's not playing very well. Well, no shit. Y'all are just going on your yacht, going on your boat, going on the private airplanes, going out to clubs all the time. It's just get out of here, bro. He's never going to make another Ryder Cup because he would have to, again, because being in Live, he's going to have to win a major. I don't see him winning another major. He just isn't there. He doesn't play enough. He took that Live golf because he didn't have to play enough, or he didn't have to play as much. So he ain't winning another goddamn major. TaylorMade's probably saving money. They're like, yeah, why are we paying this asshole? He can't even display our product on their 172,000 people audience that watch that crap. So I did like what Live Golf did with Night Golf. I don't know if you saw that. They had a whole tournament under the lights, kind of like what the PGA did with the match that they do with only 4 golfers just for TV ratings. But they did it. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool. Like, I like that idea. Maybe just have a fun tournament where it's under the lights. Live Golf comes up with some good ideas. They really do. That I wish the PGA would implement. But they suck. Their product is garbage. So, you had some good ideas, guys, but your product is still garbage. So, again, we bored you a lot with the golf talk, and if you don't know what the hell we're talking about, maybe tune in on a Sunday. If you like a nap, turn it on golf and napping. There's no other nap that beats it. So nothing like taking a nap on a Sunday with Jim Nance's voice just calming you to sleep. So,
well, with that, everyone, you guys have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful weekend. But on this show, it's PGA over Live Golf all day, every day.
Absolutely.
So just to go ahead and let everyone
questions.
know that right now.
Stop it.
Just like that. So
if you want to argue with that, come get me. I'll give you all the smoke. I want all the Live Golf smoke because it doesn't add up.
Well, with that, everyone, Jimmer, it's a pleasure, brother. You guys have a great weekend, great week. Peace out.